Are we on now?
I believe so.
Okay, so we're gonna start at 7:08 on September 11th. And since our visitor isn't here yet, we're gonna jump right into our regular business.
Who is the visitor? Is that?
So Dan Kern was gonna be
Oh,
here
okay, gotcha.
to talk about a potential new project. And he sent some details, but I don't recall them, and so I'm just gonna let him come and present them. So why don't we then go to minutes approval? And so I move that we approve the minutes of the August 21st regular meeting. Is there a second?
I'll say.
Any discussion?
Not by me.
Okay, I thought you were perusing them.
Well, it was.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Were you interested in having the email that kind of explains it or not? Or don't bother with any of it?
I think we should wait till he gets
Okay.
here. Yeah, he can explain it better than I can at this point. Okay. Do you have a finance report, Eric?
Sure. Well, for change, I do have some, we have some information about the conservation fund balance. Not all of it, but some of it. We were, the last report we had before today was, I believe, the, was it April that we had, Judy?
Yeah,
Okay.
because we're looking for May, June, and July.
In August, so we've got two of the four we're missing. At the end of May, May 31, $3,233.42, I'm sorry, $323,042.61. And the only change that month was an addition of interest of $68.75. I'll give you these, Judy. Excuse me. The end of June, it went up by the interest in June, $66.54. The new total as of the end of June, June 30, $323,109.15. Now, on top of that, I was able to find out, quarterly we get, are you aware that the Conservation Commission shares with the town land use change tax? Land use change tax is a tax on new development. So when land comes out of current use and is put into development, at some point in that process, the landowner becomes liable to the town for a sum of money. And so the town receives all of that, and by vote of the town a number of years ago, at town meeting, it was decided to split it 50-50. So we receive 50% of the proceeds, and the town does. So each quarter, we hear about that, and so the end of, in July, there was a check for $7,075 land use change tax. So that would be added into the, as a deposit in July, and I don't have any information beyond that, so I'm working on that. This is for Judy.
Just to add to that, so that's the only source of revenue for the Conservation Commission at this point. And it used to, I think it used to be, we used to get 100% of the land use change tax.
We did for a couple of years, and then
Who caught on?
the mind changed.
So now it's 50/50.
right.
So-
Is there, I mean, obviously things trend with other economic trends, but is there an average that you have been taking in recent years through?
Oh, you mean
Change?
dollars?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a little bit of an uptick because the last few years, given that development has been
Right.
very modest, to say the least.
Yeah, there were a few years that we weren't taking in
Yeah.
really much at all, and it
Right.
does seem to be on the uptick a little bit, which
Mhm.
I guess is good for the conservation fund, but
Yeah.
Right.
has its disadvantages too, right? So-
Yeah, so, but it's been very good in this town. I have to say, it's been very generous and over the years, and even though we went to 100 at one point and then down to 50, it's a lot better than what it could be.
Mhm.
And the town is very supportive of protecting open space, so
Mhm.
that's where it goes.
But I
Um,
guess all that to say that because that is the only source of revenue, you know, I'm sure that folks see 320,000 in the conservation fund and wonder why that money isn't being spent, but we know that that's the only money we have, except for this amount, the small amount that comes in quarterly, and so, you know, we try to make those dollars stretch as far as possible, obviously. So-
Right, and that, we should say, you should understand, they put a cap on it, $500,000. So, you can look at that a few different ways, but I guess the thinking was, if it just sits there and is not spent, then we should have whatever goes over 500,000. So, we haven't gotten into a situation where we lost money that way, but it's something to keep in mind as we look at potential properties to protect and so.
And we do have a project that we're working on that, if it goes through, would take a
Mm.
pretty substantial chunk of
Right.
that fund, so. Which I'll give an
So-
update on in a little bit, so. Is that then it for the
Okay.
finance report, or you have something else?
I have the budget. Can we just take care of that right now?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I've got copies of the budget for,
So this is the 2018 budget.
yeah, right. Well, this is actually what you're looking at here.
Thank you.
Can you guys share that?
Absolutely,
And-
yeah.
And I can
One-
share this one.
Got one more? You want one, Judy, or?
No, I'm good. Or, is this been updated since last?
Well, it's just, really the same as last time. I just
Oh, I have-
Yeah.
So what we need to do here is finalize this, and
Have a copy.
the open, I guess the areas of, I have 4 areas that I think we'd like to nail down. Trails, and we just had a brief conversation, Ben, and it sounded like going forward with this $200 would be adequate.
that's-
And,
yeah.
you know, as we go forward, we'll get into it more deeply, then we'll learn what future needs might be.
Yeah, so I would just say to Ben, who hasn't maybe gone through the budget process before, when we present this to the town, they may ask us what that entails, and so it's just nice to have a bit of a breakdown in how that might be
Mhm.
spent, but we don't have to do that tonight.
Okay.
No, but we do have to do it, I have to do it, the 26th of September.
Well, not for the specific breakdown of how that $200 is proposed to be used.
Well, it's,
Or you do.
I think it would be helpful, having had that in our budget for the first time this year, and then seeing it coming up for next year, to be able to speak to that,
Okay.
so that we can convey what plans, which are, you know, somewhat flexible at this point, but
Mhm.
I mean, how detailed do you want it to be? I mean, for example, I can imagine, you know, paint for trail markers, gas for chainsaws, for clearing trails. I don't even probably have other.
Yeah, I mean, so I talked to Jim, and he was thinking even basics, shovels and axes and that kind
Mhm.
of stuff. Which, I mean, is probably wouldn't hurt for us to have. I mean, it sounds like there's new, opportunities to rent them, and I don't mind bringing
Mhm.
my own tools and things like that. But it probably wouldn't hurt to have a little bit of inventory.
yeah, I mean, we're not trying to get it nailed down to be, black and white, but
Hmm.
I think everybody would like to know, and that's a fair question.
Yeah.
you know, we're setting this money aside, what are we gonna do with it? And, or what's our plan? And realizing plans can change too, so.
Right.
So, all right, so we'll stay with that. Supplies, that was a question to you, Judy. Supplies, you're sort of the supply.
I emailed you some things.
I think
that
you said it was okay,
Yeah.
and
I
you had
don't-
some,
I don't see any need for anything beyond what we have in there now, which is what, 200?
200,
Yeah,
okay.
which is sufficient.
Okay, we got that. And you and I can talk further. You thought the salary line, based on your hours this year and so on, and assuming that
Same as last year would be.
it'll fit okay, okay.
Yeah.
And then the last item, are you folks, everybody aware of the New Hampshire Conservation Commission, Association Conservation Commission Annual Meeting and Conference? You know about that, you're probably involved in organizing it.
No,
No?
no, I've presented it sometimes, but
Well,
not this year.
yeah, this is sort of in my mind, and I threw this out to Sarita, and we chatted by email, just, we have in our budget $50 for seminars, training, blah, 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 which has always just sat there, and people have gone to seminars, they've gone to this, I've been to it a few times, and there's another one in the spring, put on by another organization. But we never did reimbursements, we never paid partially or anything like that, and so I thought the idea was to, with two new members, and somehow I'd like to see us, where the proposal is, let's put something meaningful in the line that reflects reality. I don't know that we could always reimburse the entire commission for the full expense, but if it was even a partial reimbursement, or just an encouragement to go, because it's,
So to attend this type of event and pay
Yeah.
the registration fee or whatever.
right, I think for this one, it's 65, and I think the other one in the spring, Kate told me was about 60.
Saving special places. Saving special
Saving
places.
special places, yeah. So, which is more, I think, more in tune with conservation easements, but, and land trusts, but, so that's the thought. I don't know, is this something that you folks would be interested in doing? I mean, it's on your own time on a Saturday, so that, you know, that's where it makes sense to really think about that,
I
because.
go to both every year, so, but I don't need money to go, so,
Because you do it as part of your work.
yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
okay.
But
So, but it's worth it, I think,
Yeah,
it's
no.
worthwhile to go to at least one once.
Mhm.
You know, the land trust, saving special places, there's always a great session on like intro to easement monitoring, or how to interpret a conservation easement, and
There you go.
same with association, the NHACC, there's usually some of those fundamentals involved,
Yep.
so it can be good to just get some footing.
Yeah, I'd be interested for sure.
So is there a line in there now in the budget?
There is a line, it's,
But we've never had anything in it?
we have $50, it's described as,
So you're asking if we should
well,
change that?
I think the proposal would be to increase that to meetings, seminars, and training. I mean, $50,
I think we should say that we'll have enough in there for 2 members to go to a meeting every year, or something like that. And if they're 65 and,
Yeah.
you know, if that's 65 plus what was the other one?
I think about $60.
So 120 then. You know, that would give 2 conservation members
Mhm.
an opportunity to go to one of these meetings a
Mhm.
year.
What, 60,
Yeah.
it would be 2 meetings, or
So
one,
six-
just one of the 2 meetings?
Well, one of the,
Yeah,
like,
so we-
2 people on the committee to do one or the other of
Okay,
these.
one
per
of
Right,
year.
well, let's
So
say
that would
a
be-
meeting is 65.
So that would be
So that's
100, we could say
130.
120 or 130.
Yeah, and then you could have 4 people go and everybody gets half of, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, but at least I think we need to show we're doing more than just putting it back in the bank at the end of
Yeah,
the
I
year.
think it's great.
So,
And you
Okay.
have, you know, what the exact cost is for the registration, so you can use that as a.
okay, well, we'll say
Justification.
130.
What are you going to put down in that line? Dollar?
130, 130.
130? Thank you.
So,
When was that event, Eric? That particular event, when is that, this fall?
November 4th.
oh, yeah,
November
Uh,
4th, okay.
I've got a spare one
Oh.
if you need
And
it.
Saving Special Places
did
is
you want
usually
this one?
April.
For yourself or not?
no, I don't need it.
Okay.
No, thanks.
We have $50 in the budget this year. If that hasn't been spent, if he wants to go,
Right.
we could
Sure,
cover his registration.
absolutely, yeah,
So just let the treasurer know.
yeah, okay. So I think that's it for me. Budget's taken care of, we got the conservation fund, and back to you.
This says, see also New Hampshire Association of Conservation
Well,
Commission's
yeah,
annual
this-
meeting.
It's
Oh, that's what that was. Okay.
it's in
Right.
the announcements, that's why
I
it's
see.
just in two different places.
Gotcha. Okay, great, thanks, Eric.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll move to stewardship and easement monitoring. So there's a line there that says Fowler Conservation Land. I don't know if this came up at our last meeting, but,
I don't think so, I think that we got a call and had to respond to it.
yeah, so I got a call from a person, a fellow in Manchester who wants to hunt on the Fowler Conservation Land. And, in talking with, so I wasn't sure what this property was, so I called Kate and Judy and learned more about it. And Kate thought it would be a good idea to talk with the Board of Selectmen and to write a letter thanking him for contacting us. I mean, he doesn't have to contact us, right? It's open, I mean, per the RSA, he is free to hunt there and doesn't need to request permission. Although I think, well, I thought there was, they were supposed to request permission of the landowner, but at any rate.
It's a suggested,
Oh, it's a
suggested thing.
Okay, so it
yeah.
suggested that they contact the landowner for permission, and so we had Judy, with assistance from, I guess,
Well,
Kate and
Kate wrote the
myself.
letter.
So Kate wrote the letter, thanking him for contacting us, for permission and so on, and we asked the Board of Selectmen to review it and sign, and they decided at their meeting tonight that they don't wanna set a precedent of writing letters giving permission, because that then gives
Right.
the idea that
Mhm.
everyone has to come for permission, when in fact they don't actually have to. So they're gonna follow up with a thank you letter that says thank you for contacting us and letting us know and requesting permission, and also providing providing an article from Fish and Game that outlines the process for hunting access and maybe some other information. So basically, there's gonna be a letter to this person, and I'm also gonna follow up with a phone call, but it will be a thank you letter as opposed to a permission letter.
I have a question, how big is this property?
The map's attached there. There are 4 parcels to it.
Looks like it's,
Well, I know he did, as he did building, he would, put
There
some land in.
3
the
were
easement.
tax deeded and one
it's
was,
120.
one was eased.
120 acres?
Only one of them
no, actually 160, sorry.
Oh,
only one of them was actually.
Oh, no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong acreage, sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
that's okay.
I was looking at these big numbers. No, it's 10, 20,
8.
it's about 40.
Yeah.
is it contiguous?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took 3 by tax deed and one was deeded over to the
Sorry, I
town.
was looking at the wrong
Hmm.
numbers. It's
Yeah.
about 40 acres.
So it's deed to the town, and is there an easement that we know about?
Not an easement, no.
easement. It just,
It's just tax deeded and deeded, warranty.
okay,
It's deeded
owned by the
property.
town.
Property owned by the town.
Mhm. It was deeded over
Hmm.
as conservation land.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of a side deal that we never really got involved in, I don't think.
Yeah. That's why I didn't even know that it existed or what it was.
There's not an easement, but it's called Fowler Conservation Land.
It is conservation land.
Yeah, but it's,
Also, there is an easement on it.
It's,
conservation area is what
Yeah.
this says, and that's, I don't think there's any rules and regulations about what uses are and what's not permitted, but, that might be something to think about someday.
I don't think I printed out what I pulled off, what I have. I have I have copies of the deeds, or basic copies of the deeds on my computer. It's part of what I'm compiling for, the open space plan.
So is your concern, Eric, about,
Well, just, I don't know, we have some nice town forests in town that are open for hunting with several hundred acres.
yeah, I think he was looking at that because it's, he's looking for a place that's unused and that, where he can just go and sit and not, really disturb anyone or be
Mhm.
disturbed, and he seemed to think that that was a good spot.
Well, there's some responsibility he's showing here too, I mean, with just the request, and I guess we can go on that too. I'm not suggesting not doing it, but,
Yeah, I had suggested some other parcels, but
Mhm.
he again felt like some of those were really heavily used in his scouting,
Okay.
and he kind of wanted something that was not so
Yeah.
heavily accessed.
Does he have vehicular access to this parcel, or?
No, he would need to park,
Park
in a right-of-way, and he's gonna talk to the landowner about
okay,
that.
that's
Probably
the other
auto.
thought I had, so. That would be a good thing to do, just to sort of make everybody
He
aware of.
seems very responsible and
Yeah.
really, sort of, I don't wanna say going out of his way,
See
but
this
certainly
guy?
researching it and doing his due diligence
Mhm.
to talk to the right
Mhm.
people. So, I mean, he contacted the town first, they put him in touch with me, I talked with him a couple of times on the phone, then then we, spoke with the Board of Selectmen, so it's been a bit
Very good.
of a process. Hey, Wes,
Hey, Wes?
we're half an hour early. He said he wasn't gonna be here till 8, so.
I thought I said before 8, but I'll go back and come back if you want,
Maybe I
half an hour.
I guess I misread that.
Well, anyway, sorry I'm late. Hi.
We're hoping to be done by 8, so.
Great.
Working on it, yeah. Oh, we have to, I'd like to request a vote on the budget. You have to agree on that.
Okay, so
Okay.
we're gonna go back to the
Yeah,
finance
yeah, I just
officer's report.
forgot that. So, just for Wes's benefit, we made a couple of adjustments in the budget, actually one. So it's last year's budget, but we've changed the education, which has been $50 a year, which, we're raising it up to 130. And there's I thought maybe Ben and Haley would benefit from some education, plus others as we go forward, so, so that's why we did that. So I don't have the total, if you'll trust me to add it up right and tell you what it is
Yeah.
after the vote or
Yeah.
later. So I'd like to move that we accept this proposed budget for 2018 for the Conservation Commission.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Any opposed?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay, let's see where we are. So LSET monitoring, I'm not sure what to say there, Judy, except that Judy and I got an email today from,
The
Steve
state,
Walker
yeah.
regarding LSET monitoring, and that provides instructions for electronic filing, and we are reviewing that. And if there's anything to report, we will do that next time. I haven't had a chance to look at it closely.
We do need to get our parcels monitored, though, the LSIP parcels, and I think I've given 2 packets to Al.
Yeah, so Al usually does most of the monitoring. The one that's always outstanding is Curry, which Ben has been, trying to look into. I don't know if you've had any success. That's actually next on the list. I don't know if you've had any success getting in touch with the landowner or not.
So Judy jumped in at 1.2 and copied me and emailed Paula. I have not heard back yet from her, so I don't know if I should try calling next or.
The next time I see her, I will try to light a fire
Okay.
under her, but it doesn't,
Okay.
I've run out of matches.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind
It
trying.
doesn't hurt to call.
Okay. I think I have her number from the last time we talked
If you're
about
lucky,
this.
you'll get her on the first try, or if not, she'll call you
Or
back.
keep emailing,
Okay.
emailing her. She's always very apologetic about things, and she's sincere.
Okay,
It's just that she's not always
yeah,
available.
sure. Yep, I'll make a note.
Does she need to be there, or you just need to get her permission to do it?
So when I talked to Frank Mitchell, he really wanted her to be there because last time he tried to hike the property, there were certain areas that he just didn't have access to. You know, it might have been partly the time of the year. I think there was a lot of water movement, so he would feel more comfortable having her there.
Okay, so we'll just, and you know what, I'll call Al about the other month. I mean, he does it automatically every year,
Yeah,
but,
we actually haven't had a total monitoring since 2015 reports.
we don't have the reports. I'm sure Al did it, but he didn't give us the
Yeah,
reports or fill
okay.
out the reports.
Yeah, the one small Pendleton parcel, I never even got a report for the 2015, I don't believe, on that one. That's just since 2014. So I'm not quite sure where things stand.
Yeah, so he's actually out of the country for a couple of weeks, but I will talk to him as soon as he's back and tell him that we need the reports.
Thank you.
The next item is Lindsay Flanders Trail Extension. The update there is that, Alan Perkins and Frank, and now Ben has been looped in, but Alan and Frank want to walk it again and map it with, GPS map it, and add the new loop trail. I don't know, Ben, if you have any further.
We've emailed a couple times. I think right now we're tentatively talking about the 30th. So I was just trying to keep it on the weekend, and I think they're a little bit busy up until that point. But having just hiked that, we could I could probably do it in an evening or something if they had availability.
I don't know that it's urgent. These are just all,
Okay.
just do updates, just to
Yeah.
have a surprise of what's going on.
Okay.
How big of a loop is it that they're adding?
It's, well, from what I can interpret from having hiked it and then hiking a part that wasn't on the map, which I'm
Mhm.
guessing is what they're talking about, off to the east, half a mile maybe. It's not super long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Ben, if you want to mention the gunfire that you heard out there when you were hiking.
Yeah, so I think it was when we were on that new loop, actually. Yeah, I was there with my wife and 2 kids, and there was somebody doing target practice kind of close, close enough to make me a little uncomfortable, make me jump. So we just kind of kept walking out of there. I tried to whistle to indicate my presence, but, people use hearing protection and stuff, so. It seemed like it was coming, both my wife and I are pretty sure it was coming from the east. We had a little bit of discussion about the parcels that are around there, whether or not, someone had walked onto that property, and it's hard to know. But if I was someone walking the trail for the first time or something, I would feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and so Ben's question to me was whether we should,
For the 10th time, I feel like.
whether we should contact the abutters and,
Well, do we have to do that, or do we ask the police to do that?
Oh, that's right, that was Kate's response, wasn't it, that we should contact them?
Well, at least it's just
Heads up.
seems to me that's more official that way, and they have a different set of powers than we do.
So, I guess everyone has a right to target practice on their
Yeah.
property, but are there any
Right.
there are rules about being
What is it?
300 feet away from
Yeah.
residences
From residents,
or
yeah.
trails, so I don't know if you'd feel comfortable contacting the, police department and just alerting them to that situation, that
Yeah.
you were on, you were on this conservation land, town-owned
Mhm.
land, that you felt like it was closer than it should have been for comfort.
Yeah, I could do that for sure. Just based on looking at the map and stuff, I felt pretty confident that they could be totally in the clear in terms of what you're allowed to do. Like, for example, you're allowed to fire a firearm 10 feet from the road. That's the buffer.
Right.
which
10
is
feet from the
crazy.
road?
As long as you're not pointing toward the road, you can be 10 feet away from the road. But, you know, it occurred to me that maybe this person just doesn't even know the trail is there. So it'd be nice to have just a very friendly conversation, like, hey, just so you know, we have a town trail. Did you know, could you maybe move to a different spot or something?
Or maybe even without making it that blatant, we could just send a letter to the abutters about the trail extension.
That's what I was thinking,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, just say, right,
We're
That's a good point.
we're developing a new trail extension, it's going to, and send a map and say, here's where it's gonna be.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being good neighbors,
yeah.
you
We're
know?
doing it in a really
That's a
nice
good
way.
idea.
No shooting the hikers.
Yeah,
So
that's
why
that
don't we-
undertone, yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we, when your trail extension is done?
Sure.
We could send that letter out and.
Yeah,
maybe
that's a good
that-
idea.
Start there and see if
Mhm.
that,
Meanwhile, I hope you wear bright orange in the
I will now.
Yeah, you can, if you have something that would be appropriate, that when you're, after you GPS it,
Yeah.
if you'll come up with something, I suppose,
Sure.
appropriate that we could include.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
good.
Okay.
so you maybe just add that, so we just keep a rolling kind of list of to-dos, and so we can just follow up over, so
Sure.
you just add like letter to abutters of Lindsay Flanders about trail extension or new trail or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, absolutely.
So we'll start there and see.
That's good, yeah.
Great. Yeah, thanks for letting us know about that.
Yeah, no problem.
We obviously want people to use the trails, and we want them to
Right.
be comfortable when they use the trails.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so I guess I missed a part at the top, because I thought this was, so I'm gonna circle back to easements and land protection, so, I was just thinking this was related to the new project that Dan Kern was gonna talk to us about, but I notice here that there is an item for the Project 31, which is the project that we're working on currently, and that we've submitted an LCHIP application for, and the only update there is that LCHIP did a site visit this past week on Thursday, and Kate and I, went and participated in that, so that was the LCHIP staff and, two board members that are on the review committee. They visit every site or every location that's on the, that has been submitted for funding. I guess the only thing I could say that they reported to us is that they have 45 projects,
In the pot, huh?
in the pot, and requesting a total, I think they said 4.5 million, and they have 3 million. If I got the numbers right, I think it's sort of along those lines. So,
Yeah.
Chance.
what's that?
Sounds like a 2 out of 3 chance.
Yeah, so, that's there. I think that the committee meets, Dan actually can give us probably a more cogent update than I can, but I think the committee, we're just getting a very quick update on the LCHIP walk. But I think they said the committee will meet in November,
Yeah, I think earlier, mid-November.
and so we'll hear something by the end.
Was there any comment by them on this? You know, there's some land there that's not in the easement, and,
The 15 acres?
yeah, well, is that it, that we had talked about some way to protect that, you know?
Yeah, so we're still in conversation with
okay.
the LaBreeze about how to
Okay.
do that, but that's not part of the project, so that, we talked about it very briefly, but,
Well, I guess the impression I had was that would be a potential negative for LCHIP.
yeah, it may be they didn't, they weren't,
I guess they would be.
I think they were being very objective and weren't,
Yeah, okay.
they were there to look and to ask questions, and they didn't really, I thought they seemed, actually, at least, one of the LCHIP staff seemed very positive on the project, but again, this was an, objective site visit, so I don't
Right.
know that we can
And we're up against all
glean
the
too
other
much
ones.
from that, yeah.
They're out
45
there.
projects, they
Right.
said, I think, so.
Yeah, they have a lot, and, the last one we did with them, they gave us funding, but they didn't give us exactly what we asked for. So that's a possibility as well. But,
I
They-
see, yeah.
yeah, they didn't come across as really negative. And, you know, I think they appreciated the importance of the project to the town, and saw the, you know, the large investment that the town was willing to make, and the outside, interest through the grant, through the charitable foundation, I think, supported the project. And I think those are the types of projects they like to do. And, you know, I think it does help too that we haven't been in Deerfield for a little while, at least with conservation type project.
So we see, right? December, is it, or
November.
November?
December.
Were you there also on Thursday?
Yeah.
So Dan, you came at a very good time, because we've gotten through most of our agenda, and now we can turn to you. So, you're here to talk about a new project, I believe.
Yeah,
Welcome to pull a chair
I
up
don't
if
think
you
I have
want.
enough maps for everyone, so if you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
and
You don't
Sure.
mind.
actually, do you know our new members?
I know Haley.
How are you?
Hi, how you doing?
Ben Minor, nice to meet you.
Oh, yeah, we've met, yeah.
I was at one of the
At
fundraisers.
breakfast,
Yeah.
Thanks.
I apologize for not recognizing.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, so they've just joined in the last couple of months, so great to have
That's
you.
good. I don't know how you got them before us, but that's all right. There's room if you guys are looking for more stuff to do. But yeah, so Alan Barton, we have been talking to him for years. I think I have an old letter. He came to a conservation project, or,
Excuse me, does Dan know that this is being recorded, if there's any?
Yeah, is it okay that this is made public, or,
yeah, it's not top secret.
okay,
And it's more exploratory at this point.
okay. We'll give it a project number going
30,
forward.
35.
35, okay, great.
So we've met with him a couple of times in the past, and we've been working on some other projects in Epsom, and they expressed their interest again in conserving the properties that he owns in their town. So we gave him a call to see if he was ready to finally do something. He's known to Phil Osier. Phil had a relationship with him in the past, and actually Phil is the one who led him to the WRP program and that big parcel in Deerfield that he protected through that program.
Oh, that's this NRCS WRP Barton?
Yeah, and that middle spot there that looks odd and unprotected there were some title issues regarding
Yeah.
that section of the property, and so that's why it was
protected
left
land?
out of that.
It's
This is
showing
protected.
on the
I've
town
never heard
maps
that
as town
I
owned.
heard it hard. but-
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it may be.
Barton?
Yeah.
I know
He's up in
there was
Epsom.
some title issues.
Got a lumber
around
mill,
it.
I think.
It's just a chunk sticking
This
out
is
in the middle of
Deerfield though?
nowhere.
This is
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
land?
Deerfield, yeah, it's the line.
Right there.
Oh,
They discovered
So
it
this
during
project is
the
in
title
Deerfield?
search in the
Like-
survey. But
Oh,
so
it's-
he's interested
this is
in
part of it.
disposing of his properties in
This
both
is
Deerfield and
Epsom,
Epsom.
too.
He's from
I gotta hear what he's, I think it's in both
Loudon,
towns.
so he doesn't really have relationships with the towns other than owning these properties for
and there
quite
are
some
no
time.
houses?
No houses. If you've been out on Griffin Road in Deerfield and you've been past that big area that was harvested, clear cut essentially, but it was the path of the tornado,
Yeah,
Right,
right.
yeah.
and they did a salvage job and collected most of the timber off of that, and then the WRP easement was done subsequent to that. It has a huge beaver pond that flows into the Hart Town Forest, the corner of the Hart
Hmm.
Town Forest. It's a great property, and particularly because it has a conservation easement on it already, it would be, I thought it would be a good acquisition for the town.
So this chunk that's not in dark green already has a conservation easement on it, or?
So the area that's shaded that says NRCS WRP Barton,
I
all
see,
that
he still owns it, but it
He
has a
owns it, but
conservation
it's-
easement on it.
yeah, it's an NRCS easement, so you'd be purchasing it subject to the conservation easement. The one further up Nottingham.
Well, let me just get clear. I thought this was a bear paw easement, but you're talking about the town acquiring property that's already under easement? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the
That's the gist, okay.
proposal of the Deerfield parcel. The one Deerfield parcel
Mhm.
is already protected.
Okay,
Well, but what's this one here,
And that one is unprotected. That's another parcel that he's
that
looking
he would
to-
also, that's in Deerfield, that he would also like to sell?
Yeah.
What are the acreage of those two parcels, Dan?
Gosh, You have it somewhere here. It's pretty big, it's a large piece.
One of them's 99 acres. And the other one, I think, is 100. This is WRP. That one's already eased.
And that's 100.
100 is the smaller, the property that's not under WRP.
Actually, the square one.
Rectangle.
Yeah, one's 99, according to the text, and one's 178.
178.96.
Okay, so 178 is already,
That's the
That's
WRP
most of
easement?
That is,
One-
It's WRP.
so it's almost, well, 278 acres on the survey.
so I'm sorry, Dan, so I'm looking at the topo map, and I don't know, is there a road that, I mean, is this on road frontage?
Yeah, the whole
Here's
east
Griffin
side
Road.
is Griffin Road,
Griffin Road, okay.
yeah.
But there's no road access into the unconserved piece, right? That's the 99 acre
I think
rectangle?
there's a road, like a forest road now.
Yeah, okay,
that
no,
goes
but
up
I
there.
mean, it doesn't have any Griffin, okay.
But no, yeah.
I see, so that all
Talking about this
the
right
land
here.
that's along
Yeah,
the road
that's 99,
access
this is,
is already
Has
under
already been
easement.
conserved, yeah, so
Yeah.
it would be
Yeah.
I thought it would be a great opportunity for you folks to
Yeah.
acquire it and add to your properties in the area. It's just north of, Wells and Boisvert, on the other side of,
Yeah.
Villeneuve.
Where would boys go?
It's down,
It's on the
Right
Epsom
down.
Town line.
it's down. below-
I should have
further
shown
down,
it. It's right
further down
here.
nothing
yeah.
I
ever
see.
been done.
Okay.
And that's another thing too, is that the town line
What is it?
business, is that gonna be,
I think that's a good question to ask.
Not that I know of, but, I haven't, gotten a report from the surveyor recently.
Have
Want
you,
me to ask that
talked to
question?
Epsom yet, or?
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
yet.
so
I haven't
we
yet.
actually started
Go
in
ahead.
Epsom, and we met with Alan and the folks from Epsom, and that's what he indicated, that he was interested in selling all the parcels, not just his Epsom pieces. And, we got a proposal to do an appraisal on the properties, combined at 1,900 from Scott Heath, who's
Okay.
done work for us
Oh,
in the
yeah.
past.
For the whole,
For all of them.
Okay.
And we were hoping to have you folks, if you're interested in pursuing a purchase, share the cost of that appraisal.
with the town of Epsom.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask a couple of questions if I may. Just to reiterate what I think I know already, there's no road access in there. There's no way there's gonna be road access in there, right? I mean, for development.
No, it's just like Boisvert and Wells
Uh-huh.
and those other properties.
And
So.
it's already connected to the Hart Town Forest, so it could become just a larger Hart Town Forest.
Yeah, it's a direct
Well-
addition to Hart.
What is the advantage to us to purchase a property that isn't gonna get developed with such a limited amount of resources?
Well, town ownership means you get to manage it, and you could, harvest the forest products just like the other properties that you've been, protecting in the area. I mean, the benefit, the flip side of that is that it is protected by a conservation easement, and so you'd only be paying for the fee value, the after value, with the easement in place. And probably at a reduced one, because there was a salvage harvest that was done on a portion of the property, and, I forget what year that was, but it's, I was under the impression that the town had been investing in properties in the area, and that's why I thought it was a good
Sure,
fit.
no, well, I
Well, it's
appreciate you
worth
bringing it
talking
to
about,
us,
sure.
but I just question with, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, I'm just questioning with our limited resources why we should put money into this right now.
Yeah, and I mean, we would help fund
I understand
the
that, but-
project as
Well,
we
and another
usually
way
do.
to look at this is, right now, they're just asking, we're just.
Just
talking about-
exploring.
We're just talking about an appraisal, right, that would be $800 or $900, so,
is that a two-way or a three-way?
850, two ways.
Two ways.
Yeah, we
So
don't-
Bear Paw's not part of that.
Yeah, well, we don't have the money.
Well, is
so I
this,
guess the question is whether it's just, something we wanna explore and find out what the appraised value is, so that we can then have a discussion from with more knowledge, you know, about what it
Mhm.
would actually cost and what the options might be for fundraising or whatnot.
Yes, and so there are, you know, you would be helping, there is an easement on it, but there are, you know, the forest resources that will develop on the property, but there's also the opportunity to expand the Hardtown Forest area. And also, you know, which didn't occur to me until talking now, is, you know, it would be a great recreational access because you could tie into the Epsom Town Forest because they have a pretty extensive trail network and they've spent a lot of time in that area. And so, you know, you could have a Deerfield trailhead to going into that same area.
I mean, I hear exactly what you're saying, Wes, and I'm not advocating one way or the other right now, but it is pretty neat that if that square chunk were conserved and Epsom did their
Right.
part, you'd have this
Yeah.
very large town forest chunk,
210.
you know,
Mhm.
unfragmented chunk that would be pretty cool. And if Epsom and Deerfield could go together for some sort of funding mechanism, I mean, I don't know what the options are, but I guess the first step is just to explore what it would even be appraised at, and then we can talk about whether it's something we can do and how we might actually make it happen.
Do you, well, one more question. Do you need an answer tonight on this?
I'd like an answer, because I'd like to, he's ready to do something. And
On the appraisal, not on whether.
No, I understand that. We're not gonna buy a property tonight. I understand. I'll defer. Anybody else have an opinion about it? I mean,
I've got a question. How many acres in Epsom?
I mean, I've got the tax cards here.
Well, just a ballpark. I mean,
130. I made that up.
Yeah, exactly, I mean, that's about right?
Yeah.
This one's 100 and this one's a little bit bigger, so maybe
Mhm.
150.
Yeah. I think it's intriguing for the same reasons Rita mentioned, that if those all get conserved in one sweep, then it creates a pretty contiguous area of conserved forest land there. So that would be intriguing, and I also would be interested in the appraisal, because I think, based on the reasons you mentioned, we might get some bang for our buck on these properties. If, you know, one already has an easement on it, and so,
where does the WRP easement come in? He's not gonna be evaluating that, right?
No, well, he would evaluate the property with the easement in place, so it would be like an after value only.
Yeah, because that's for sale
Yeah,
too, the
right,
WRP
right.
piece.
Okay.
And,
Well, another question.
Which we're talking about.
Bear Paw has some WRP land, right?
we do,
Did you buy it?
no, we got it.
Okay.
Good rates.
Now, what kind of value do you think was on those? I'm trying to get an idea, what's it gonna cost for a WRP easement? What are we gonna pay for that?
Oh, what are you gonna, I mean, because of the salvage operation, it's probably $500 an acre, maybe less.
Okay, and that's 178.
I mean,
if you look at, for example, we just did the appraisal on the Buy property, and it was, you know, then 128 acres was 99,000, right?
Mhm.
And that was not cut like this, so it's gonna be lower than that probably,
Okay.
right?
and there's a lot of wetland that doesn't support a lot of tree growth, at least at this point. It should be a pretty reasonable amount, and I, you know, we didn't get the impression from Alan that he's, you know, looking to cash in. He did well, he was part of one of the, you know, first WRP rounds, so he did well when he protected it.
Mm-hmm.
He's not, you know, at least he didn't say he was, you know, ready to give it away, like some of the folks have in the past. But I think he's gonna be reasonable, and to be honest, the town of Epsom is really eager to work with him, to protect, or to acquire the properties in their town. And so,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of it may be driven by them and their interest in purchasing those properties.
Well, I like the idea of collaborating with another town, and, you know, that's sort of a new
Yeah.
thing, you know, sort of branching out and having some trail networks and those kinds of things.
And it
So-
would be, I don't know if you know, but I mean, this, again, as we said, would be a very large chunk. I mean, it even, you know, comes down, you know, and it butts into this. So this is, if that was all conserved, that must be, I don't know, 600-700 acres, 500 acres?
Whoa, yeah.
Just for your, almost just for
But I
your
just mean
piece.
this whole,
The whole thing is several, I'd say 2,000 to 3,000.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You mean-
Yeah, and the one other interesting thing about
And Wells.
the area is that, Green Crow, you know, owns the parcel in your town, but they also own, the parcel just south of the Epsom parcel that goes around Ottinger on the map. It loops around, and so there may be a way to go all the way across the block.
Where's the McClary farm? Isn't that up at the end, isn't
It's
it?
the Jackson /
Oh,
Stewart
okay.
easement.
Okay.
So those are Bear Paw, the Stewart easement is a Bear Paw easement, Jackson is, I think, an old LCIP easement.
Gotta look at that piece behind Hartown Forest too. Well, that's, of course, that's an Epsom, so. But that's,
Is this
Yeah, that's
contiguous
another-
from here to here?
Pretty inaccessible
Is this
piece.
connected from here to here in any way?
no, it's really Epsom and Deerfield aren't connected directly.
No, I don't mean that, I mean protected land. It looks like it could.
Here?
Between this little corner here and here. Does that make Olson and
Olson,
Villeneuve-
Also, Villeneuve.
Villeneuve connected to it, is what I'm asking.
no, that's not that's not protected, Olson?
Yeah, Olson
All the
Village,
way?
yeah, that's an old,
Yeah, so that was my,
Oh.
so
Forest
all the
Society
dark
easement.
green is protected.
Oh,
Yeah,
So,
those are all
okay.
see,
shaded.
that would be this
Okay.
enormous chunk
Conservation.
if that,
Yeah.
those were connected. And that's what Dan was saying, it would be, you know, maybe 2,000 acres or something of unfragmented forest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the interesting thing is it does go all the way, the Villeneuve easement does make it all the way to, it says, Deerfield Road, no, what is it, Mountain
Yeah.
Light Road,
Hmm.
Swamp Road, and it goes all the way to Griffin. So
And it's
we'll-
not far from Quarry and Wells either, right?
Right,
So there's not much between those two that would connect that
Oh,
all
and there's
together.
also Boys Vert is in there,
Yeah, exactly.
and Green Crow still sitting there.
When they did the salvage harvest, Dan, was it on just the WRP portion or also the,
It probably went up into the other one, but I think it was primarily along the southern portion of the easement area. If you drive out Griffin, you can't miss it,
Mhm.
it's just, there's not much left. But there wasn't much left after the tornado got done with it. It came across Freeze and up through.
So I guess for $850,
Yeah,
to
for
me, it
information,
seems
it's, I think it's,
reasonable, and we don't have to make any decision tonight about, obviously, about what, you know, whether we would ultimately be able to acquire it, but at least we would know what it values at, so. So, I don't know, should I make a motion?
well, let's
And
see.
we don't
let's-
all have to agree,
What are the
right?
mechanics here? Do you have a proposal from Scott?
Yeah, I've got a written proposal from Scott.
I didn't mean, by the way, that I disagreed with that. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
was trying to get information.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, but I'm saying we don't all, it doesn't have to
Right.
be unanimous either, right? So,
Right.
and that your point is really well taken, I think we all understand that we have limited
Yeah, yeah.
resources and need to.
Here's the actual.
It would be really cool to have a parcel that size.
Yeah, I think of it as more an opportunity, you know, you've got a landowner, he's approaching retirement age, and, you know, he's looking to make a move, and if you don't own it, then someone who is less conservation-minded might own it.
So will he split this up into two reports? One-
He can, I guess.
Well, I mean, I think we'd want to be able to,
It will evaluate each parcel separately.
oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right.
Especially because of that easement, it's gonna
You want to see this?
skew the cost of
Just
that.
same old stuff. You see it?
So I make a motion that we, split the cost of this appraisal between Deerfield and Epsom for the total, for Deerfield cost of $850.
It's
Actually, so it's 950.
All right. 950, yeah.
Sorry.
Here we go.
There we go, there it is. I knew it was
Do
going.
I hear 1,000?
Half a night.
No, no, I'm just
I-
kidding.
I thought so.
I'm just kidding,
It
Dan.
sounded like it made sense.
So is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll do that, Dan. And I
Excellent.
guess you can work with Eric to get a check, or however that works.
Yeah, well, he'll bill afterwards. What
Yeah,
I'll do
right.
is I'll have him resubmit the proposal to both the towns in your
Okay,
names, that way.
Good.
He can invoice you directly, it would be cleaner, I think. The other, one I wanted to talk about was Boisvert. I just want to give you an update that the surveyor has been incredibly slow, but I'm still expecting to get the work completed before snow this year. He's been really bogged down on some other projects, some of ours.
Now, are we up in competition with other bear paw projects?
Well, not really, I mean, a bear paw project.
Because we paid him, what, $4,000
I
back in
know,
February?
Well, we paid them a lot too for
Yeah.
the projects we're doing in Pittsfield, and they're just, we probably won't work with them again, to be
Too
honest.
bad.
They're just incredibly slow, and, yeah, they're just,
Yeah.
the product seems fine, it's just, the process has been.
Well, is there any chance, we want to get this done, what do we have,
This year,
let's go
right?
to town meeting or anything? No, we just have to
There's
put the
no-
easement on, that's it.
I mean, there's no rush, we just wanted to do
No,
it.
but we don't want to,
Yeah, our goal is to get it done this year, and
Yeah, okay.
I've been beating on them. The Pittsfield ones in theory are done, and so it's just a matter of you know, moving, other projects that he's working.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's been disappointing, because I thought that they were gonna be a good organization to work with, but the one positive is we have found some others that are working in the area, because we've been struggling to find surveyors to do other projects, and so we might have some better
Oh, good, okay.
choices in the
Mhm.
future because of that, so.
Okay, thanks, Dan, I was gonna ask for an update for that, and so that's good to know, and,
I threw it in here because this came across, when I was on the forum.
I don't know what that is.
You can ask Dan to speak to it if you want.
I may know.
Well, the bullet
It's,
point says Bear Paw application for land trust accreditation with Land Trust Alliance.
Oh, yeah, so, Bear Paw is applying for accreditation with the Land Trust Alliance. It's, the national trade group for land trusts, and they have set up an accreditation program, kind of, like any kind of, program, but this one's focused on land trusts, just to make sure that our policies and procedures are, sound, and that we're doing what we say we're doing. But there's a public comment period, which is probably what Judy saw.
Yeah, so she saw this on the forum.
Yeah, we did a
yeah.
press release, and it'll be in our newsletter, so if you have any comments about Bear Paw, you
So
can
the-
submit them.
The comments are about Bear Paw, or they're about your application for this accreditation?
It's about Bear Paw in light of the application.
Okay. I mean, are comments helpful, or?
You know,
Depends on what you say, probably.
good comments can't hurt, but I don't know if they really are looking for them.
Okay.
They probably get mostly negatives, but you never know. If you want to submit a positive one, that would be awesome.
Okay. Good to know.
You're one of our bigger landowners, so it would matter.
Thanks, Judy, for bringing that to our attention. I hadn't seen that. I will go on the forum and read the whole thing, so. Okay,
Okay?
thanks, Dan.
Yeah, and I'll try to get an update on Boisvert, and I'll email it to you.
Great,
Okay.
okay.
I'll get an ETA.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Sorry I was late.
No worries, we
Worked
had,
out fine.
we weren't sitting here twiddling our thumbs. Okay, so I'm gonna move now to regulated wetlands, and, this is just an FYI, so our planner, Sylvia,
Von Olok.
I'm trying to find her name.
Bonalek.
Von Olick will be here next month, and she wants to talk with us more about zoning, and, you know, there have been a few emails with information that she sent us. So I guess, so Kate wanted her to wait until she's back from her trip, and so we scheduled that for the next meeting. And Kate just requested that we all look at that information before the next meeting, so that when Sylvia's here, we can have an informed discussion. So, go
Now,
back.
that's not a proposal, that's what's in our zoning, right? What she sent out?
Well, so this is, so she's proposing, I think, some
Oh.
new zoning ordinances that would go into the
Oh,
March,
okay.
in the
All
March
right.
ballot.
I didn't read it. I just read it quickly.
And I don't know the details, but she can
Yeah.
Okay.
talk with us more
Mhm.
in October.
She had mentioned when she was here, or I think we had kind of requested that, you know, having examples of what other towns have done that are good or that she would recommend would be helpful. So, I mean, looking at our zoning ordinances, but if Sylvia and/or Kate could provide some ideas for what we might get behind, that would be helpful.
So I haven't had a chance to look at the information she sent, so that's not in there.
It's
with
just the zoning ordinance,
see.
yeah.
So maybe, since Kate's not here, maybe I can follow up with her and ask for that, so,
Based on what she had said last month, she said that that we have a 100-foot setback from, and she, as a wetland setback now, but there's nothing in the ordinances that says what you can have in the setback.
Right.
right, so there's no
Right.
vegetative buffer.
Right.
It's just hard to know what the possibilities are.
Yep, so I will see if I will, I guess, remind her that we had that conversation. Okay, good, I had kind of forgotten that.
Yeah, she's looking for a no disturbance setback is how she called it, what she called it.
Okay, so I'll do that, and then if we could all just review what's there before October, that would be super. Eversource was here last time, of course, and this is just an FYI that they have requested a meeting with the planning board, for either September 13th, which I guess is Wednesday, or the 27th. I'm not sure whether that's been resolved and they are planning to come to one or the other of those or not. Do you know, Judy?
I don't,
Okay.
it'll be on, it will eventually be on the, well, let's see, it would be on the town website under the agenda for the zoning board.
Yeah, so if
Whether
anyone's
they're on it or
interested,
not.
you could look at the agenda for Wednesday's meeting to see if they're on, otherwise it'll be the 27th.
Townofdeerfieldnh.com.
I wanted to give a quick update, just to say that, so Ellen O'Donnell, the teacher from DCS, as we know, gave us a proposal, to work with her students and in conjunction with us, and I helped her finish that application, and it was submitted to the New Hampshire Association of
Oh, good.
Conservation Commissions. I haven't heard anything, I don't know what their timeframe is, but just to let you know that that was submitted, and hopefully we'll hear soon with a positive outcome.
Excellent.
And I think that's all I have, except announcements, unless, I'm not sure what this wetland notification is.
Last month, we had a notification for a possible violation of a septic leach or a leach field without a permit. And the owner sent a response to that and copied us on that. She sent it to compliance supervisor, land resource management program at the DES, from whence the violation letter came. And Ms. Hutchinson, the Hutchinsons responded to that and said it wasn't, they had done a repair on a pipe, but they didn't put in any kind of a leach field or a new septic of any kind. It's possibly,
Are we asked to comment on this, or just?
I think
No,
it's an
it's just-
FYI.
just
So I'll just read it quickly. So it says, you stated in your letter that you received a complaint alleging that someone on our behalf replaced a septic system leach field without a permit or proper authorization from DES. We are responding to assure you that no such action was taken. We have not replaced our septic system, nor have we replaced our leach field. However, we discovered a leak between the septic tank and the leach bed. I dug down to the pipe and found it separated, most likely due to a delivery of cordwood. I reconnected the pipe with a new piece and put the gravel back in place. The problem was fixed and the system is working properly. So anyway, that's an FYI to a complaint that we received, I guess, last month.
yeah, we were,
Okay.
we were just copied on that.
Other than that, just a few announcements. We've already talked about the NHACC annual meeting, which is on the 4th, at Pembroke Academy. There's also a New Hampshire Sustainable Forestry Initiative Implementation Committee Field Day on 9/22 in Lancaster. Do you have information on that?
I have, and there's an application,
Pass that around if
attached if anyone's
anyone's
interested.
And there's a Lamprey River Cleanup Day, coming up.
Do you know if
There's nowhere
anybody
in-
volunteered to coordinate that in town? I saw the thing, to Deb and,
Yeah, I didn't ever hear back whether anyone followed up on that or not.
There's no date on there.
Yeah. that's
Yeah,
what I
so
thought.
I did write back and ask the date and never got a response, so, so there's been no follow-up since we got that initial email.
I was thinking of volunteering, but I'd like to know what date it is.
That would be good to know, wouldn't it? So, yeah, hopefully they'll respond at some point and let us know. And if I get that email, I will certainly send it around.
Thanks.
Any other, announcements, or am I missing anything, Judy?
So,
Is anyone opposed if we adjourn early?
No, I move we adjourn.
I'll second. Third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
yeah, Eric moved, you seconded.
It is unanimous, not one person
That's right.
Voted to
was
stay.
in disagreement with that.
Somehow we always get unanimous on that vote.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
You
Sarita.
want this pen, or
Thank
do
you, Judy.
Next time, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Another task going, I know it was delayed, but.
Curious, yeah.
We're doing aesthetics now.
I wanted to check it out on some
The
other maps.
expert for Golden Pass.
On Google Maps, there's a label Harttown Forest, but that spans what they label as the border, so that can't be very
He's
accurate.
invented a whole
I'm sure it is, yeah.
system,
Oh, let me-
how you evaluate
Let me
use.
shut us off here.
Not the way a
Yeah,
person.
I'm
would.
surprised it's on there